Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Eliana Kernodle. Today we're talking about medical marijuana and Second Amendment rights. Joining me is the Center Square's Anthony Hennon. Anthony, this is something you and Kristen have talked about before. What's the latest on this topic?
Yeah, so this has been a years-long, drawn-out issue. We've seen dozens of states now legalize marijuana for recreational use, and we have a majority of states, I believe about 38, have some sort of medical marijuana program where it's legal. Pennsylvania has a medical program, but not a recreational program, and this has been a bit of a stumbling block just with the medical part. Basically, the tensions here between Second Amendment rights and gun owners and this medical marijuana program, because federal law, marijuana is still prohibited, which adds some legal ambiguity and puts, some legal risk here. Because if you're a medical marijuana user, technically that still counts as unlawful use, which could, at least in theory, bar Pennsylvanians from gun ownership. We've seen this happen a few months ago when in Warren County up in northern Pennsylvania, the district attorney there, Rob Green, announced that he has a medical marijuana card, and then the county sheriff requested that Green forfeit his license to carry a firearm, simply because of this legal limbo here. This creates a problem. So we've seen some push to kind of straighten this issue out before we even consider recreational marijuana. This has been a stumbling block for a number of Republican legislators. Senator Dan Laughlin, who's based in R-Erie, is now proposing a bill, Senate Bill 1146, essentially to clarify Pennsylvania's Uniform Firearms Act, and that the act does not consider a medical marijuana cardholder as an unlawful user. This is basically what Laughlin says: I can't change federal law, but this is an attempt partly to raise awareness of the issue. A lot of medical marijuana card folks aren't even aware of the infringement on their Second Amendment rights. So on one level, this is kind of clearing up a state issue here, making sure that if you're in the medical marijuana program, you're using that in a sanctioned way. You do not necessarily have an issue with owning a gun. But at the same time, there's still federal law prohibiting marijuana use, creating some issues for gun owners.
Why is this important to Representative Laughlin?
Yeah, so it seems like there's kind of two main themes that he was telling me. One, he said, we're in this gray area right now. It's almost like we're in this don't ask, don't tell period of time. So, it's one of those things where there is that legal issue, but it's essentially ignored unless it's, some county official or someone in law enforcement is doing this. And so, it's kind of that weird problem of how much respect for the rule of law do we have when we're also in a situation where, just flouting the law, there's not a lot of consequences. But there's also, this kind of health aspect that he's arguing about, where he's heard from the public of how medical marijuana has really helped people live better lives and deal with some medical problems they've had. He cited veterans coming up to him and telling him about their experience. He said, referring to veterans looking for relief from PTSD, they've all universally told me that cannabis helps them a lot in that space. I know it needs to be studied, but if it works for them, then what's the harm? He was also giving this example of, if you had to give up your Second Amendment rights to be on a run-of-the-mill antidepressant, what do you think would happen? I think what would happen is a lot of people that benefit from an antidepressant like that would stop taking them to protect their Second Amendment rights. We're in kind of a bad situation right now, and I'm just trying to make it better. So, there's kind of two competing things here. It's trying to preserve respect for the rule of law and give people clear, unambiguous rules to follow, while also trying to make sure people are getting health care they need, people are getting the help they need to deal with, what other problems they have in life.
Well, Anthony, thank you for your insights on this story. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Attention parents, teachers, and taxpayers. Do you care about the decisions being made in K-12 public education? Do you want to know how those decisions impact your students and school district? Chalkboard News has you covered. We're delivering fact-based reporting on the policies that shape school safety, curriculum, and recovery from learning loss. At Chalkboard News, we're cutting through the politics and focusing on the facts behind the issues impacting students, teachers, and families. Get this news delivered to your inbox for free by signing up at chalkboardnews.com.